Our market report we find is very valuable to everybody out there because it gives you a snapshot of where we are today. While we do historical stats a lot, we refer back to them. What we want everybody to realize is exactly where Calgary's market is right now. There's a few things we're going to focus in on. And one thing I want everybody to look at first is this total sales line, the top line. You can see that sales are down almost 15% in the month of November. We're probably halfway through. But if you look back at October 2023, 24, 25, you can see that the sales volume has been falling for 3 years straight. 2100 to 2169, 2167 to 1882. Right now, we are going to be lucky to hit maybe 17 or 1600, the number of sales in the month of November. So we're seeing the sales volume fall over time in Calgary, and that relates to what the buyers are doing, what the buyers' mood is, what their expectations are. And Carly, what are you seeing with some of the buyers out there right now?
Yeah, we were actually in a meeting today with a group of realtors and we were talking about that. We're seeing that a lot of people are kind of holding off. Interest rates are dropping. People are kind of waiting, but we see it as a great time to buy because there's so much supply out there and you have way less competition.
Yeah. Looking at the active listings, this sort of it's the inverse of the sales. You're seeing our active listings start to grow. They've been growing for 3 years there from 3,200 to 5,000 to 6,500. Right now we are at 6,255, but we expect that to increase as the month moves on. And then once we get into December, we're going to see the inventory start to fall because sellers are reluctant to put their houses on the market in that season. So we will see that fall as we get into the Christmas season and then into the early New Year. But with all this inventory building up, what we want to stress about that is if you're an investor out there and you see the inventory climbing and climbing and climbing, that means one thing. That means deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were out with a young couple that just moved here from Ontario. Actually, we're going to be talking about that. Owen and Chelsea, she's a nurse, he's an engineer. They just moved here and we were out shopping with them. We picked up something in Southwood that is a turnkey property. When I say turnkey property, we did the home inspection. The only thing that came out of it is that an element on the stove wasn't working. And so, of course, the sellers were going to get out there and get a technician to look at that. But that was the only thing. This thing had air conditioning and had a brand new garage. It actually has a suite in the basement that they're not even going to use right now. They're going to live in there. And this is what we do for even young people that don't really care about investing. We actually bought this property. It's suited, but they're going to use the whole house for now. And then when they're finished with the house, it's, when I say turnkey, absolutely beautiful, renovated top to nine, new windows, new furnace, new hot water tank, new kitchen, new bathrooms, like everything was brand new. And so we picked this up and the realtor was upset with me when we did. She said, Azed, there hasn't been a sale for a turnkey property like this in Southwood under $700,000 for the last year. And we got it under $700,000 for them. So that is, for me, for a young couple coming here, knowing that they're getting a premium property, not only that, at the end of the day, being able to hold on to that lot. And this lot was massive. It was like 60 by 120 or something like that. Down the street on the corner, what are they building? They're building a 10-plex on the same street. It's walking distance to Southwood Station. Would that be Southwood Station?
Southland Station.
Southland Station. Walking distance to there, walking distance to the superstore across the bridge. It's got plenty of pluses. And just the value that we're getting our clients right now, and then keeping in mind the investment opportunity down the road, either to rent it out as a legally suited property or build maybe an 8-plex on there one day, is so exciting. And that's the kind of market we're in. And that's why Carly can sit here and say, hey, this is what's going on. People have choice. I know during COVID, when we came out of that, our listings dropped to around the 2,500 mark, and we could tell you people were overpaying for properties roughly, $50,000 to $100,000 because there was no supply. With all of this supply, every property we're getting is below the city assessment and well below what market evaluation would be today.
Yeah. The final thing we want to key in on is the average price. You can see that for the last 3 years, the average price has been going up and up and up. But if you look over here on the right-hand side of the screen, for the month of November so far, the average price is down 4.12%. Now that's just for this month, the first 18 days of this month. But what we're starting to see is those gains that we've had pretty much since COVID, the price went straight up. We're starting to see that flatten out and turn around. Now, do we think it's going to start to fall? Probably not. But Vancouver went through it and Toronto went through it at the beginning of this year. Their average price started to fall. Now they've corrected themselves in those markets and the prices are starting to inch up again. But what we see is that the price went up and up and up, and now it's starting to plateau and it may come down a little bit. Now, the average for the year, because it's 12 months of the year, it's been going up for the first 10. We're going to still see it as a positive for 2025. But once we're into 2026, we may see small percentage drops in the average price. And that's what Azad was getting on, is that people out there, investors out there that are shopping for a deal, if you can hammer these sellers and get them to lower that price a bit and get that below the list price, which Azad did for those young clients of ours, you're going to see as a whole, the average price in Calgary is going to start to dip a little bit or at least flatten out. And that's how we expect 2026 to begin. We're not going to see any huge increases. We're not going to see any huge decreases, but it's going to fluctuate around that even point.
Yeah, and one thing to keep an eye on, I mean, we use this as a little tool to get our clients great deals out there, is that you can ask for the title. So we ask for the title when a property is being sold, and we can see when that mortgage was registered on title. And those mortgages right now, the 2.9%, so 2.1%, I don't know what they were. Those mortgages, those 5-year terms are coming due right now. So you can see that people are listing just because their mortgage payment is going to jump roughly $1,000 on average on a $500,000 purchase. So you'll see great deals happening. And we picked up one in Willow Park. We said this just the other day, $100,000 less than city assessment, which is absolutely huge. And I can tell you that seller was just an older lady that had this property. She was in a great mortgage and her payment was going to jump $1,000. And because cost of living out there, we keep saying the price of steaks are just absolutely crazy right now. The cost of living, that extra $1,000 bump for some people, it's just not affordable. So they have to offload those properties, maybe downsize into something smaller. Some people we've seen, they even go on rent. Some people are just selling their homes, cashing in on the equity because it's tax-free money, putting that aside and going to rent. So you're going to see an interesting time in the next 6 months. And if you know Calgary Real Estate Wealth, you know the traditional bell curve every year going through the winter months that it dips, right? You get the best deals going into the colder months, and the market will rebound in Calgary going forward into the spring.